Naughty Goy. Oh boy, this I'm sure is not going to be good. Actually, I'm going to just put you back on hold because we don't have enough time.
I don't like the sound of that.
We don't have enough time. I got to make sure that our dump machine is built up here, and so we're going to make sure that we do that here coming up in a moment. We've been, Rich, since it's been a while since you've been on the show, we've had an issue with certain types of people infiltrating the phones here on Free Talk Live and then saying things they're not supposed to say on the radio. So we'll be prepared for this caller coming up here in moments.
What types of people were they?
The types of people that would have screen names like that, and also the types of people who are 15 and think it's cute to say bad words.
More coming up. It's Free Talk Live. Ian, Melanie, and Rich in the studio here tonight. And what do you know? That caller that was trying to call in before the break with the potentially offensive handle, when we had the board operator ask for their phone number, they didn't want to give up their number. So
naughty boy.
We have a system to deal with callers who want to put our radio stations in jeopardy. Because look, Free Talk Live is an open phone show. We will allow you to call in about virtually anything you want to talk about, but it does have to be within FCC guidelines. However, there is something we've been doing for a couple months now. It was since late November, I think. So, 2 months. We've been doing Free Talk Live after shows that are only available on the Twitch platform over at twitch.lrn.fm. Now, Rich, I don't know if you're familiar with Twitch. It's been a while since we've had you in here, but at some point last year we added in this video streaming network. So Amazon purchased Twitch a few years ago. They're a competitor to YouTube, but they focus on only like 90% of their stuff is video games. So people playing games.
Yeah, I always associate Twitch with like video games and cleavage.
Yep, that you will see that on there. In fact, if you have cleavage and you can play video games, or even if you can't play them that well, if you have cleavage, you will probably do fairly well on Twitch if you
Yeah, I'm down to 180 pounds, no more cleavage.
So you lost some weight.
Oh yeah,
congratulations.
Yeah, 240 to 180.
Wow, that's awesome. So anyway, as I was explaining, over on Twitch we have this after show that we do, and I think probably this week we'll do a Wednesday after show. Normally we do it on Tuesday nights, but I think this week we'll do it Wednesday. So we just kind of do it whenever we feel like it, and we've kind of been doing once a week typically. And so for those of you that want to really say the F word on the air with us, you can do it on our after show. You can do it. We call it Freer Talk Live. And it's not the same thing at all as the radio show, because like the radio show, we've got breaks. The breaks are, specific times. We've got radio stations. We've got to protect their licenses. So there's just certain things that you can't say on the radio. But most of the things you can't say on the radio, you can say on Twitch. So if you really want to get on with something that's particularly offensive, then the Twitch-only after show would be the right time and the right place to do that.
The FCC is unconstitutional. I just got to slip that in.
I totally agree with you. I am no fan of the FCC. I love pirate radio. I love the idea of broadcasting without asking for permission. I've always been a huge fan of those people who have the gumption, the huevos, to actually put a transmitter on the air and risk a raid, risk having their home like being treated like a drug dealer, having their house raided by the police. And the FCC, FBI, local cops. It's usually a multi-jurisdictional task force that's going to come in and raid your house.
I thought they just sent you a letter these days and told you to cut it out.
No, that's usually that's what they start with. They start with a threatening letter. But if you ignore the threatening letter and then you ignore the subsequent threatening letter, at some point they will come in with men with guns.
Yeah, most of the alphabets are going to start with letters.
Yeah. And usually the letter works, The letter allows the person to know, hey, we caught you. Better either show the proof that you're legally broadcasting or shut it down. And, of course, most of them will shut it down when given the opportunity. But
I still want to see a broadcast trailer.
That you could move around and place.
Yeah, whenever
locations.
You get a letter, just move it to another house.
That's a great idea.
The letter wouldn't even go to you. It would go to somebody who owns property in the neighborhood where you're parked, I guess, maybe.
That would become more possible the more liberty-friendly property owners we get. Because if you only have a handful of liberty-friendly property owners, you only have a few options as far as where you can park that trailer. Because you don't want to park it somewhere where it's not auzed. Otherwise, it'll get towed, right?
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, the easiest thing to do is park it, like if you're in Manchester, just park it in city parking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So battery operated, basically, you charge up some batteries and let it run for some amount of time?
Yeah, probably battery operated. Push it along with solar some if you can.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And
I've heard solar's
just move
gotten a lot
it every
better.
other day.
I've heard solar is much more efficient now than it used to be.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you could take the trailer and outfit it with enough solar panels to actually run, say, like a 50-watt transmitter. You're essentially talking about a light bulb, right? Like,
yeah, we could certainly look into what it takes to generate 50 watts from a solar panel. I mean, of course, you'd need more than just the transmitter.
Right. You need the equipment,
all the glue,
the receiver, the wireless transmitter, or whatever to receive your internet connection.
If your transmitter is 50 watts, I'd imagine you'd be able to do it with 100 watts.
The whole package. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's probably true. That's the kind of stuff that we can do here, for instance, in New Hampshire. The more libertarians we get to migrate here, as the three of us have done. We didn't know each other before we moved here, and having more people together in one geographic area makes more things possible. We actually just had a couple move in here last week, and they came to our cryptocurrency meetup yesterday. And they were super excited that they got to actually spend cryptocurrency in real life.
Right.
Because here in Keene and Portsmouth, to a lesser extent Manchester, but in these areas in New Hampshire, we actually have real businesses that accept cryptocurrency at their point of sale. And it's a real smooth process. It's easy to do. And they'd never done that before. Never and they're big into crypto. Like one of them's a crypto programmer. He works on Zcash. And,
okay.
Yeah, and he was super, excited that this was even possible. And then not only that they've got there's a couple landlords that are cryptocurrency acceptors up here. So not only can they buy food and drinks with cryptocurrency, they could even pay their rent with cryptocurrency. Which, it's like that's amazing for people to be able to have that experience, and it's something that exists not by chance. It wasn't random that Keene and Portsmouth, New Hampshire became these cryptocurrency hotspots. It's because of the libertarian activists who moved here, who came together into the same place and did what it took to bring those businesses on board.
And it was a lot of sweat selling that,
Well, luckily.
It took some work.
Yeah, it did. It wasn't a whole lot of work, but it did take some asking. It did take some follow-up. It did take some training. It did take some effort. And we were willing to put that effort in.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.